If you have a grandparent, a father, a mother, if any of that pertains to you, I invite you to take a seat over here in the audience section, and you're going to learn a little bit more about 3 considerations you should have in mind if your loved one is continuing to live at home independently. Okay? Swing, 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 swing. Everybody start to swing. High and high, low and low. Now we're starting with the swing. So now that I have your attention, I am Alexandra McLean Kelly, co-founder of Lifemark Residences. We are a rare boutique assisted living community as we only accommodate 10 residents, and we are located in Panorama Heights, Surrey. So you may be asking yourself, why should I listen to a 37-year-old singing and dancing gal? Well, the answer is I know a lot about this stuff. I transitioned out of my 10-year career as a stage performer into registered massage therapy, which I did for 9 years. And in that time, I had many an intimate conversation with my clients. So clients, the bulk of my clientele, I've served over thousands in this last 9 years. But of that clientele base, 40% are in the age range of 45 years old to 70. And in those safe environments of therapeutic relationship, people tell you a lot. And it gave me great insight into the hearts and stresses of what a lot of families are dealing with these days when it comes to an aging loved one. Nobody wants to engage a loved one in what they want long-term for their lifestyle and care wishes because it's scary, you know? And I don't think it should be. That coupled with the fact that my husband and business partner, Sean Kelly, my tech man, babe, we've been researching this industry for the last 4 years. And to date, we've had meetings with Amica, Chartwell, Tapestry, which is located at UBC, Opal, to name a few. And all of these communities serve our aging loved ones in different ways. So independent living, to assisted living, to memory care and long-term care, then palliative care, okay? And so the biggest takeaway from us in speaking to these industry leaders was that there is a huge gap in this industry. The industry standard is large retirement facilities, large retirement communities, large retirement complexes. And we're passionate about ensuring that we innovate the industry to include boutique models like ours. So I really just want you to understand that if you're hesitant to talk to a loved one about what they want long-term for their lifestyle and care wishes, use me. I'm a resource. We've got lots of articles, and I'm happy to support you in those conversations. And that's really what today's presentation is about. I want to discuss the 3 considerations that you may need to keep in mind about an aging loved one continuing to live at home. So, the first consideration, their nutritional needs are being met, or are they? So one of the challenging things with a loved one continuing to live at home independently, you're nodding your head, I love this, is you have no idea what they're eating. I mean, you hope and pray that they're getting nutritional sustenance day to day, but really you only know what they tell you. And a lot of times our loved ones, they don't want to be a burden. They don't want to tell us what they're struggling with. They don't want to confide, you know, it's a lot of energy to get to the grocery store. It's a lot of energy to make myself 3 meals a day. They don't want to disclose that to you because they don't want to worry you. They don't want to trouble you. But the downside of that is that if your loved one is not getting adequate nutrition, they can easily develop diabetes. A high sugar diet has been linked to dementia. Things like, low energy and fatigue are all occurrences as a result of not having adequate nutrition day to day. And so you really need to keep your finger on the pulse about what your mom and dad or aging loved one is putting in their mouth and if it's sufficient, because we want to stay clear of those negative health concerns that can evolve. The second consideration that I want you to keep in mind is their hygienic needs are being met. Okay, so now listen, I occasionally skip a shower, don't always floss my teeth. my husband can tell when that's the case. But the problem with that in an aging loved one is our bodies slow down. We are not capable from an immunity perspective to deal with common infections or common germs in as optimal of a fashion anymore. And so if your loved one is developing habits of not showering as frequently, this can become a serious health complication. I'll give you an example, dental health, right? So if they're not flossing their teeth, they're not brushing on the regular, they can get an abscessed tooth. And an abscessed tooth can lead to an overall infection of the body, which can be really serious and result in high fevers, etc. Not to mention a poor breath, which will give them a bad sense of confidence. And it's something that they, again, may be internalizing and hiding from you because they're too proud to ask you for help or to admit they need to go see the dentist and they don't know where to go for that support. Another big issue is that perineal care. So, showering and bathing properly after using the washroom. If this is something they're not able to do for themselves, urinary tract infections can evolve into kidney infections. A perineal infection can evolve to overall blood poisoning, which is systemic infection of the entire body. And again, on a hygienic level, this is arguably the most sensitive topic that your loved one is going to want to hide from you. And if it's a conversation you're not comfortable having, again, I am here to support you with that. We have the resources that we can send you that will help you feel more confident engaging in these kinds of conversations. The third consideration is their social and emotional needs are being met. Now, this is my passion because I love meeting people's social and emotional needs. That is my thing. God put me on this earth to put a spring in your step and a light in your heart, and it would be my absolute pleasure to do that for your aging loved one. I will love on them as though they are my own mom or dad, and I don't say that lightly. So, when we think about social and emotional needs, one of the things that comes to mind is people that feel isolated and lonely because they're not getting regular engagement from their family and friends are a lot more susceptible to developing depression and anxiety. And when you're in that state of mind or state of heart, you're so much more likely to disintegrate in your physical state as well, right? And again, these can easily manifest into more challenging problems in your loved one's life, and it's just not necessary. According to Canadian Census data reports, 25% of seniors throughout Canada live alone, and nearly half of all women aged 75 and older live alone. And we know that's because we outlive our partners, and loneliness and isolation unfortunately sets in when you're doing life solo, right? We all feel that. It doesn't matter what age you are. We all experience loneliness and isolation. I felt lonely and isolated when I was 19. I can think of times in my life in my late 20s I felt those things. And luckily I had a mom, I had a dad, I had a best friend that supported me. But sometimes our aging loved ones don't want to let us know that they need more support in those ways. And it shouldn't be that way. According to Seniors Come Share Society, which is a local-based Surrey and White Rock program services company. So they go out into the community of the Surrey and White Rock areas and they interview seniors, whether they're living at home or whether they're living in a large retirement community. They took a poll and they asked, how are you guys feeling these days? Do any of you feel lonely and isolated? And according to their results, 30% of those seniors aged 70 years and older said they felt lonely and isolated. Which is so sad because I saw firsthand, this is my grandpa Ken. My grandpa Ken and me when I was a little chidler. I saw firsthand what he experienced living in a larger retirement community. My family and I used to go visit him, and I tell you, I was 17 at the time, and I walked into that place, and I could just feel like this icky feeling, and I know we've all experienced it. I'm not saying all large retirement communities are like this. There are some wonderful examples, but this one, unfortunately, was not, and he was he was daunted and socially overwhelmed with integrating into the large group of seniors that lived there. There was 130 to 150 people that lived under that one roof. And sometimes he would rather just sit upstairs in his apartment and eat a bologna sandwich instead of going down to the dining hall to share a meal with the other seniors, all because he just felt too socially overwhelmed to be like, hey, can I share a meal with you? You know, and that's what some of our loved ones are facing. They're not naturally social butterflies, and they need places like ours that feel less socially overwhelming because there's only 10 people living there. That's our model. 10 less people is how you can ensure that people feel seen, that they feel stimulated, that they feel engaged. You know, all of this has brought us to this point, which is my husband and I realized we wanted to innovate this industry and create a new style of assisted living for our loved ones. And that is LifeMark Residences. And our boutique model is going to be a refreshing change from what you have encountered to date. We believe that aging can be intimate, engaging, and fun. Most importantly, fun. I am the director of fun. And that is something that we are passionate about providing to our residents. So if any of what I've discussed today resonates with you, feels top of mind, I encourage you to come over to our booth. We have information on various articles and resources that we can send you. We're actually giving away 2 60-minute registered massage therapy treatments, and we have a fun little game that you can enter to win to do so. But really, yeah, just know that loneliness and isolation is something that our loved ones are facing, and our boutique model may be the possible solution that you're looking for so that your loved one does not have to feel that way.